Okay. Dr. Catherine Shanahan, a former physician of the LA Lakers and author of Deep Nutrition, she states that vegetable oils are the single most damaging ingredient in our modern diet. She's documented how these seed oils disrupt our cellular communication throughout the body. Yet most mainstream nutritionists continue recommending these oils.
My
That's
favorite.
crazy.
It is crazy. It's my favorite team too. But she mentions it. I never heard that before.
Yeah, it's crazy.
My gosh, so brain cells. Here's the thing: the brain cells have these membranes composed primarily of fat. That's why fat is important.
Okay.
Okay, but what you eat directly determines the quality of these membranes. So if you eat high levels of these processed omega-6s, they're going to become more rigid, more dysfunctional. The cells don't work. And let me remind you, the cells are the smallest unit of life. And so your cells don't work, your body won't work. That's why we talk about the complete cellular restoration. You got to make sure that you are restoring at the cellular level. Because if you don't do that, you're going to have the neurotransmitters that don't work. It's going to because the neurotransmitters on the cells, the receptors, they're just faulty. You're not going to have good energy production. And after all, you need energy to live.
Oh my goodness. Can you explain what that means in practical layman's terms?
Yeah. So think of the brain cells as like communication centers. All right. The membrane is like the skin of the cell, and it controls what kind of goes in and what goes out. Right. You can't get into the cell unless you go through the skin itself, like your body. And it houses these receptors and these hormones, and the neurotransmitters. Because what happens is it tells the cell what to do, but with the wrong fats, there's three critical problems that happen with that whole communication system. Mm-hmm. One, it becomes impaired because between the cells and the hormones kind of going back and forth, trying to let your brain cells what to do, and when that breaks down, that's where the brain fog comes in. That's where the memory issues start to increase, and there's also this increased vulnerability when you have oxidative damage from this to the inflammation of the seed oils. And so you can call it like cellular rusting. You heard me say that before, like rusting of the cells, like we're rusting the brain cells at this point in time. And then this chronic activation of these brain immune cells trying to fight off this poison, this toxic poison. And that's where you get neural inflammation. And so you got inflammation of the brain and just causing all of these problems. So just imagine trying to talk on a phone with static or drop calls. That's essentially what your brain is going through on seed oils.
Wow, that's a good analogy. So how does this connect to Alzheimer's?
Alzheimer's dementia, the latest understanding is that you have inflammation and you also have metabolic dysfunction, and together causes the brain issues.
Okay.
All right, so metabolic dysfunction essentially your inability to properly turn food into energy. All right? Mm-hmm. And so because you have bad nutrition, which essentially the seed oils are bad nutrition. So it's all kind of one and the same, or it all kind of hits at the same level. And so you start eating these high omega-6 foods, you're going to have higher rates of cognitive decline. And they even have studies where they show that the brain will shrink because you eat too much of this brain, the omega-6s.
Oh my gosh, that's everything.
That's everything. So yeah, so instead of getting to the root cause like we typically do, these big pharma companies, they keep having these drugs developed to target these plaques that are caused, that they can see from the inflammation. But that's not the problem.
Yeah.
That's not the problem at all.
Yeah.
It's the seed oils, the bad nutrition.
Wow. Countries with the highest seed oil consumption have the highest rate of neurological disorders. Populations that consume fats that are traditional fats, such as like your butters and
lard, tallow, that kind of stuff.
Right. They have much lower rates. Right?
Yep.
So like your blue zones with the longest living people, they have traditional fats, not seed oils.
Yeah, interesting. They don't really eat a lot of fats either. It just, they don't eat the inflammatory fats.
Right. These are the oils that we think you should eliminate. Canola oil, soybean oil,
Yep.
corn oil, cottonseed, safflower, sunflower, and grapeseed. We even used to think grapeseed was healthy. We put food into that.
Yeah, we got rid of that quick, yeah.
Yeah, it's hidden in all the processed foods, in salad dressings, mayonnaise, crackers, baked goods, chips, anything in a package. Even certain sauces. It's in spices. Look at your spices and make sure
That is
it
true.
doesn't have it in there. It's sad
Yeah, so you got to read the ingredient label all the time.
all the time, and some of them they're tricky because the in the food industry don't want you looking at the ingredient labels.